sitting on $1 trillion oil reserve. Yet for the people, money vanishes faster than steam in the desert. Why is an impenetrable fortress suffocating itself? What haunting secrets lie hidden behind the walls of the 2026 blockade in Iran? In early 2026, a cruel paradox is unfolding in this land, one that defies every standard economic rule. Imagine standing atop a massive treasure of oil and gas, where wells erupt like the very lifeblood of the earth, yet in the pockets of the citizens, paper bills lose their value faster than water evaporates in the sun. This is no longer a simple story of rising costs, it is a brutal economic sentence where prices dance wildly, doubling in the blink of an eye. In places like Tehran or Isfahan, stability has become a luxury that even the middle class no longer dares to dream of. The local currency devalues by the hour, turning every second of holding cash into a life or death race against poverty. When a single dollar exchanges for over 1.4 million rial, the world realizes that trust in paper numbers has completely shattered. People are now living in a strange, haunting psychological state. They rush to spend their earnings the moment they receive them, frantically trading money for food, appliances, or anything physical before it becomes worthless by the next morning. It is an instinctive survival mechanism, a desperate flight from the illusion of currency to cling to the barest means of existence. This suffocating pressure has compressed social discontent to its breaking point, pushing millions into the streets across 100 cities. As the authorities sever the digital veins of the internet, it becomes clear that this fortress is shaking more violently than ever. Is this the limit of endurance or the beginning of a painful transformation for an empire that once ruled half the world? Which do you believe is more dangerous for a nation's stability during extreme hyperinflation? The total loss of personal wealth as currency fails, or the collapse of social order following the loss of public trust in the system? Please share your thoughts. To understand why a nation so rich in resources finds itself in such human despair, we must look at the towering skeleton that has shaped its destiny, a geopolitical fortress. Geography for this land is not just scenery, it is a relentless fate. From above, the country appears as a massive natural stronghold protected by sheer stone walls. To the north, the Alborz Range stands tall, blocking winds from the Caspian Sea. To the west, the Zagros walls stretch out like eternal folds of time, while the center is dominated by harsh, salty deserts. This terrain makes the land a military sanctuary, a place where any invading army would tremble at the sight of jagged peaks and treacherous mountains. Yet, this natural isolation became a trap when combined with its position as the energy windpipe of the world. It commands the northern shore of the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow oceanic gap only a few dozen miles wide, yet it is the vital artery for modern civilization. Every day, roughly 1/3 of the world's seaborne oil must squeeze through this bottleneck. This is the ultimate trump card, a silent but powerful deterrent used to balance against the world. Even a minor disturbance at Hormuz, a closure or a single shot fired, would immediately cause the global economic gears from Asia to Europe to stumble, sending energy prices skyrocketing and superpowers into a state of panic. However, holding the throat of humanity is also the reason this land endures the most devastating economic noose in modern history. For nearly half a century, it has been pushed to the sidelines of the global financial order. Sanctions are not just dry legal papers, they are a mechanism that drains life from every corner. Under campaigns of maximum pressure, the world is forbidden from trading with this nation through international banking systems. It has been disconnected, turning into a lonely island in the ocean of global commerce. Multinational corporations face a ruthless choice: trade with the massive American market or be erased for partnering with Tehran. The result is fleeing capital, a stalled industrial system, and tens of billions in financial resources frozen abroad. Within this darkness of isolation, a fragile link is maintained through shadow diplomatic channels in places like Switzerland, Oman, or Qatar. It is an exhausting Cold War where sworn enemies whisper through secret letters to avoid a catastrophic nuclear confrontation. The nation stands as a proud fortress, confident in its rugged terrain and ballistic arsenals hidden deep within mountains. Yet it is also an exhausted body struggling to breathe under the 1,000-pound pressure of an economic noose tightening year by year. Their resilience does not come from abundance, but from the instinct of a people long accustomed to surviving on the red lines between life and death. Yet, within the tightening circles of that blockade, a fierce and proud vitality has risen from the very pain of isolation, creating a world of broken mirror shards mended in extraordinary ways. The people did not choose to fall. Instead, they turned scarcity into a massive laboratory of self-respect and innovation. When global tech giants turned their backs, a domestic digital ecosystem quietly emerged from the ruins of sanctions. Local platforms are not merely copies, they are vibrant entities tuned to the pulse of the Persian people, proving that human intellect cannot be blockaded by any technical barrier. The pharmaceutical sector is another miracle of self-reliance, where scientists have built a sturdy shield to protect millions of lives. Despite being cut off from international finance making foreign medicine a luxury, they produce 97% of their own medical needs, from complex vaccines to advanced treatments. This is a feat written in sweat and silent tears, ensuring the healthcare system does not collapse before the cruel lines of politics. Beyond state efforts, the economy survives through high-risk peripheral lungs. In bustling hubs like Dubai or Istanbul, a network of front companies acts as economic ghosts, weaving through the narrowest openings to bring essential goods and currency back to keep the nation's heart beating. This is a war without gunfire, where entrepreneurs gamble all their assets and freedom to break the siege. Perhaps the brightest symbol of this modern aspiration is Gen Z. For them, digital firewalls are merely intellectual puzzles. With VPNs always at hand, they are not just masters of bypassing barriers to access global culture, but have turned social media into a vibrant marketplace where even those in remote border villages can seek a livelihood. This younger generation carries a hopeful paradox. They are restrained by an old system but possess the mindset of true global citizens. Their adaptation is not submission, but an artistic act of defiance. Like the broken mirrors in ancient palaces, though shattered by external force, when gathered by skillful hands and firm will, they reflect light more brilliantly than the original. Behind these tense survival efforts and political friction, this is also a land of mesmerizing cultural paradoxes, where the craziest pieces of nature and humanity coexist in a strange harmony. It is a true shock to learn that in the heart of the sweltering Middle East, home to the Lut Desert where surface temperatures have hit record highs, there exist eternal white snow paradises. Just a few hours from the capital, ski resorts stand tall on the Alpes range at altitudes surpassing famous peaks in Switzerland. Here, the boundaries of strictness seem to fade, replaced by stylish gear gliding over fine powder snow, creating a total contrast to the scorching heat of the massive sand castles carved by wind over millennia in the east. This duality is not just in the landscape but is etched deep into how individuals express themselves under layers of strict regulation. Known as a global hub for cosmetic surgery, the face has become the sole sanctuary for expressing beauty and social status. White bandages on the nose are not something to hide, on the contrary. They are worn proudly as a badge of honor, a silent declaration that even if the body is confined by traditional attire, the spirit and desire for beauty will always soar. The warmth of the people here is equally unique, expressed through the artistic social code of Tarov. To them, a guest is a friend of God, and their hospitality can be so intense that travelers feel kidnapped by kindness. A family might skip their own meals to provide a feast for a stranger, giving up their best beds, because in their hearts, generosity is the thread that binds the community and the medicine that soothes the hardships of the times. The depth of the soul is further reflected in the philosophy of imperfection in craft. Prestigious Persian carpets, which can take decades to weave, always contain an intentional mistake known as the Persian flaw. The artisans believe only the divine can achieve absolute perfection, and for a human to create something flawless is an act of arrogance. That small scar is the soul, the mark of humility. This philosophy shines in cathedrals with mirror mosaic architecture. Rather than discarding mirrors shattered during ancient transport, they gathered the tiny shards, polished them, and assembled them into walls that shimmer like diamonds. It is a profound spiritual message. Things that are broken, if mended with patience and love, will shine more brightly than the original. But the splendor of those broken mirrors is facing a reality more ruthless than any economic blockade. As nature begins to issue red alerts for survival. Moving into 2026, the land is not just fighting inflation numbers but is struggling with a burning thirst. Rivers that were once the souls of ancient cities are now nothing but cracked scars on parched earth, where people stand by in utter helplessness. Poor resource management and the excessive building of dams have combined with climate change to turn ecological gems into deadly white salt flats. From these dying wetlands, toxic golden dust storms erupt, staining the sky orange and choking the lungs of millions, forcing them into a painful wave of internal climate migration. Farmers losing their land and families losing their water are forced to abandon ancestral villages to join the urban poor, creating a population map redrawn by despair. In this dire context, the nation still chooses to respond like a massive hedgehog, bristling with thorns to protect its sovereignty. Deep beneath the arid mountains lie missile cities, housing a powerful arsenal of ballistic and hypersonic weapons ready to launch. This is the ultimate deterrent, a stern statement that the price for any direct attack on this fortress would be irreversible destruction. The sharp contrast between a nation thirsting for water and one possessing top-tier weapon technology has created a landscape that is both rugged and unpredictable. Yet, behind the cold military shell and environmental crises, the people still nurture a deep pride flowing in the veins of empire descendants. They do not see themselves as victims of circumstance, but as a great civilization temporarily fallen on hard times in the whirlpool of geopolitics. A historical vision over 2,500 years old gives them extraordinary patience. A belief that no matter how long and cold the winter, the rebirth of spring will always return. This is the image of the land in 2026, an entity struggling to transform amidst the cracks of the earth and the pressure of the world. Carrying the spirit of a wounded beast that has never given up the desire to shed its old skin and find again the radiance of a civilization that once ruled half the world. The journey through the fortress in 2026 has left us with powerful spiritual echoes of a nation filled with paradoxes. We have seen a proud civilization where people can ski on high peaks while a desert hell lies beneath, where bandages become status symbols, and where underground missile cities sit right next to dying rivers. This is not just a geopolitical hotspot, it is a living entity adapting through limitless creativity. From domestic tech startups to the philosophy of mending what is broken, the people have proven that when formal doors are slammed shut, humans will always find the gaps and shortcuts to survive and rise. Isolation may suffocate an economy, but it acts as a catalyst for the spirit of self-reliance to reach its peak. This land serves as a reminder that the identity of a people is not defined by inflation numbers or sanctions, but by the resilience in their hearts and the ability to maintain hospitality and kindness even in the darkest hours of history. The greatest lesson is the art of survival in adversity. When facing encirclement and limitation, instead of complaining, the choice was made to redefine the rules of the game with intellect and patience. In personal or professional life, we often encounter invisible blockades, lack of finances, environmental obstacles, or limits on our abilities. Instead of focusing on what we lack, learn to maximize what we have to create alternative solutions. Remember, shattered mirror pieces, if rearranged with creativity, can still build a magnificent palace. Flexibility and the mindset of finding the narrow path will help you turn difficulties into opportunities to develop skills that would never surface in favorable conditions.